never wondered about her.
Are you ready? Stand by.
Yeah, I like it.
If you're finished on low, show clear. Are you ready?
Necessary.
Stand by.
Calm down, McDonald. Yeah, calm down, McDonald.
Alright.
Call me McDonald.
Are you ready? Stand by.
Yeah, he knows exactly. I would too after.
Head. Are you ready? Stand by.
I know you're making.
If you're finished on low, show clear. If clear. Are you ready? Stand by.
Oh, he's good.
Look, Nick, come back.
If you're finished, stand up. Are you ready?
You didn't even shoot yet?
Stand by.
Yeah, you better cap them in your hand. See, I got that max.
If you're finished, on low, show clear. If clear, slide forward. Pull trigger. Holster.
I always make my window 25 inches.
I need an inch everywhere.
Yeah, make it 24 inches. 26 inches. So don't worry about it.
If you're finished, on low, show clear.
Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I just want to make a quick video and update you guys on the Daniel H9 after the match. We was going to do a review, but unfortunately because of the match, the way it turned out, I'm not going to give you a review on this yet. We are still giving it some more time. It's kind of my fault. We'll talk about some of that and give you some clarity, and I'm not blaming the gun alone. I think there's some things that I've done that caused the gun to not work as good as it probably could have, so we want to kind of cover that and talk about that. But a little frustrated, but I do want to say right off the bat that I really do like the gun. It's so close to being and running really good, and for the most part the first 3 stages it ran just fine, or the warm-up. The first stage, which was the classifier, I actually did pretty well in the classifier, considering I haven't shot that much in 3 months. I haven't shot a match in 3 months, and I'm shooting a new gun that I've only got about 150 rounds through before the match. About every shot I've shot through this gun, I've shot on video almost, or at least half of them. And most of it that I haven't put on video was me sighting it in or something like that, or playing around with it. So I haven't really broke the gun in yet, so that's part of the issue we run into with something like this, especially since we ported it. And so that's somewhat my fault to blame. You know, the blame is on me to a certain extent. But I'm going to go back and talk to you. And if you notice, I don't have a red dot on here. I'm kind of all over the place on this video, but I'm sorry. I'm trying to kind of cover everything. But we'll talk about that too, because that's frustrating as well. It's not really a totally separate issue, but I don't understand that either. But anyway, so we shot the match, and I had to just stop the match and walk away before I finished the last 2 stages, and I'm going to tell you why. I just thought it was the best move for me for several reasons and for safety reasons, and let's get into that. Okay, so let's go back. Bought the gun. I shot about 50 rounds through it just to make sure it works out of the box, and I think every round right out of the box worked. I think I shot a couple different types of ammo and about 50 rounds. Let's say 30 to 50 rounds. I'm not really 100% sure how many rounds I shot through it, but it ran good. So I thought, okay, well, it's good. You know, I don't have to worry about it. I don't need to send it back or something because it's jamming out of the box. But I did notice as I was shooting it, the action is kind of, you know, was a little janky in how the gun wanted to, I don't know if that's a word, but how the gun wanted to cycle the bullets into the chamber. It just seemed a little rough. Like trying to slowly cycle the bullets into the chamber was rough, and I knew that could cause some issues. I was like, man, that's kind of some rough machining in there, and some little things on the extractor, kind of some sharp edges on the extractor and how it feeds. And I thought, yeah, it's not really got a whole lot of, you know, they didn't really cleanly put this together. And I understand it's a machine built gun. It's not a hand fit gun. This is a mass produced striker fire gun that's a little bit more complex than most striker fire guns. So let's just put it that way. I think that's kind of what it is. It's a more specialty, high-end striker fire gun that's got some tight tolerances, and in certain ways, the slide to frame fit is not too tight. It's actually got some looser tolerances there, but the barrel to frame and how the gun cycles is everything's put together really tight. So I think that was the main issues with most of the problems I had. But like I said, out of the box, let's get back to out of the box. The gun had a really heavy recoil spring. So I think that really heavy recoil spring, you know, caused the gun to feel like, you know, when you're shooting it, you would think the low bore axis would keep this gun really, really flat. But the heavy recoil spring caused this gun to feel pretty snappy. Unless you really, really had a super good grip on it, the gun felt snappier than like a Glock 19, which I think is kind of absurd considering it's heavier, got a metal frame. You know, it felt a little bit snappier to me than a regular Glock 19. So that was not, you know, I knew why I got this. I got it to port and make it kind of cool. And so I think most of the snappiness came from the fact that it had this heavy recoil spring. And what I learned was that heavy recoil spring made up for some of the kind of roughness of how this gun picks up a round from the magazine and puts it into the chamber. There's some rough machining, rough parts in there that kind of make it just not the smoothest. You know, my opinion, out of the box, a gun should, when you go slowly and you put the round in, it should pretty much, you know, for the most part, be able to cycle without it really just hanging up real hard. You know, even if you're not just of its own free, you know, ability, go slowly and just put that bullet in there. But this one would not do that very well at all. So I'm not saying all guns are designed to do that. I'm saying it really should. If it's machined and designed and engineered right, you shouldn't have to like run the slide really hard to get the gun to actually go into battery. So that is something I think is you should be able to run the slide kind of slowly, and the bullet should go into the chamber, especially if well oiled and cleaned. The bullet should go into the chamber fairly slowly and smoothly. And that's a good way to test your guns to see if they're kind of well made and well designed and well put together. Not saying every gun has to do that, but it really should. A real expensive gun should do that, and this one did not. So what happened was when we ported the gun, we had to lighten the slide to allow for the amount of energy we put into the slide now was a lot less with these ports, you know, getting rid of a lot of that energy. The feet per second, the velocity of the rounds didn't change a whole lot, but the amount of energy coming out of the slide, out the top of the slide instead of out the end of the barrel, you know, decreased the velocity of the slide quite a bit. So we had to decrease that spring weight, and in doing so, that really was a difficult thing for this gun to handle because, like I said, the roughness of some of the action in here, you can't see it, but there was some hard machine lines. There's a little groove on this side where the bullet comes down into when it's ejecting, and that was kind of rough, and it kind of caused the gun to be just seem real gritty as the as the brass was moving around and ejecting and going into the chamber, the gun just felt really gritty. If you was running it real slow, you could feel those catch points. The extractor also had some really sharp edges on the bottom. It was not, this is just a MIM, molded part. They don't do any kind of hand fitting on the extractor. So we've, since the match, taken that extractor out, and we've kind of fit it based off what I think will make the gun function better. Also, when I took the extractor out and put it back, I've noticed that it does feel like, I'm kind of wondering if the extractor was actually fit or put together properly in the first place, because this extractor does feel much springier and feels like it has more range of motion than it did before. I took it out, reshaped it a little bit, polished it, and hopefully we will get better results with that extractor, because one of the main problems with the jams I was having was the bullet was catching on the bottom of the extractor instead of sliding up into it. It was kind of making the bullet, stovepipe, and it was hitting up into the top of the chamber so hard, and it was pretty much marring the brass on the bottom of the extractor to where you could not even, I was sitting there hitting, in the match I was hitting the back with my hand, and let's show you this real quick. I actually have a bruise right here, and I have several spots in my hand, and I don't have baby hands. My hands are not the toughest hands by no means, but I do work with carpet a lot, and carpet samples, and the backing and stuff is pretty rough, so my hands are a little bit tougher than, I guess, maybe slightly tougher than average. So the fact that I was able to mar my hands up and bruise my hand meant as it was about like in here, and the bullet was kind of stovepiping into the chamber. It was in the chamber, but it was at an aggressive angle, and it just jammed right there. And so I knew it didn't need much to go in there, but it was just so jammed up against that extractor. I was hitting the back with my hand and bruised it, and you can't hardly see it probably in this light, but there's a bruise right here where I was hitting the back of the gun. So that's kind of what happened yesterday. But before we get into that too much, or I probably won't say that much more about that, I did shoot the classifier. We had a classifier, and it run all 25 rounds of the classifier perfectly, had no issues with that. Shot the next stage perfectly, and then on that third stage we had 4 jams, and I was kind of proud of myself, because considering I had 4 pretty bad jams, stovepipes with the gun. It's not really a stovepipe, because a stovepipe is more like an empty piece of brass going all the way up. This was more like it was not going fully into battery, and it almost looked like a stovepipe with, unshot round kind of going up at an aggressive angle and just jamming up there without going up into the extractor and into the chamber like it should. So that's why I stopped the match, because I felt like, for one, it was hurting me, and I felt like I was so kind of aggravated and frustrated and with the gun, and I felt like it was kind of becoming unsafe. Tried another stage after the one that had a lot of the issues, and still had 1 jam. It did get better, but I still had a jam. So that's when I called it. If that stage would have ran perfectly, I thought, well, for some reason that stage, there's something got in it. There was a piece of debris or something got in the chamber or something. And I do feel like the gun was running pretty good when it was clean, but as it got dirty, as it got carbon buildup in the chamber, around the extractor, whatever, I feel like that may have caused some of the issues. So I had it well oiled the whole time, so it was wet the whole time. I made sure it was wet because I knew the gun was kind of tight in some areas. I knew it had some of these issues. I kind of called it in the video before, so we knew that. But that's kind of where we got to. I also want to talk about this. So if you take a magazine, and put it in the gun, all right, so if you look up in there, from the back of the magazine to where the slide goes all the way back and picks up the round, there's hardly any room. And I found guns like this to be a little bit more finicky when you're trying to tune them, because the timing is really hard to get right. So when you port a gun like this and it don't have much room, the gun slide does not go much past the back of the magazine to pick up a round, you'll find that it's harder to time it right, because that could be some of the issue. I don't think that's the main issue. So it's possible that a heavier magazine spring could help the issue slightly, but what it was doing is really, mostly looked like to me that it was hanging on the extractor, and it wasn't that problem. But I do think the timing could have kind of magnified the issue. So we're going to continue to, like I said, I polished the extractor. I polished some of the areas around there even more. I had done a little bit before, but I never took the extractor out. So we took the extractor out after the match. I did some fitting. It does seem to be cycling better than it was. We took it out, ran about 30 rounds through it, and I run some of the ammo I knew it didn't like, and it ran that perfectly. But this gun is it just seems to be very moody, so I didn't clean it. So I thought, well, let's not clean it, because I want to see it run dirty, and it run all 30 rounds. And I've even done some more work to kind of the barrel lock up and where it tilts, because that barrel tilts and it's actually moving the brass and extracting the brass as it's tilting. So it's moving the brass up and down in here as it's cycling. And so I thought maybe polishing a little bit around the lockup parts of the barrel may give it a little bit more wiggle room, even tens of thousandths of an inch, to kind of move and cause the bullet to kind of move freer, and maybe cause the gun to cycle better. So that's what I'm hoping. But I did run 30 rounds after the match, after I kind of worked on the extractor, and it did work. But to be honest, I need a break from it, guys. I need a break. If you're a gun tuber that's a buddy of mine, if you would like to borrow this gun, let me know. I wouldn't mind sending it to somebody and just letting them shoot quite a bit of rounds to it and do a review on it and break it in some more and tell me, if they could tell me what their experience was with it. If that I think of you as a friend of some sorts, even if it's somebody I shoot IDPA with, if you'd like to borrow this, send a comment below and I'll let you shoot it and put it on your channel or whatever. I have several YouTubers that I know in person, so if you would like to shoot this and borrow it and shoot some rounds through it and say, hey, I didn't have no issues with it, or hey, it jammed, every other ammo that I put in this was jamming. So I wouldn't mind that input. Like, I don't want to spend, $400 in ammo to try to get this thing to work. I think it's working pretty good now, but I'm kind of just wanting a break from it and to move to something that works for a while and then come back and try to finish the project. All right, so getting to the red dot problem. I'm trying to think if there's anything I missed. But like we said, we did good with the classifier in the match, and I was happy with how the gun was shooting. I'm really happy with how the trigger feels now. People complain about the trigger on this gun all the time. This trigger feels fantastic. It really is not a problem at all. It's extremely smooth. It feels very much like a factory 4.5 pound 1911 trigger to me. What it feels like to me, now that it's smoothed out and there's no grittiness to it, it really feels like a 4.5 pound 1911 trigger with too much pre-travel. It's got a great reset. It's got a very positive, strong reset. It's a very comfortable trigger, but it just feels like a 4.5 stock 1911 trigger with a little bit too much pre-travel. That's all it feels like to me. And that's a very good trigger. So I'm very happy with that. Anyway, if anybody borrows this gun or shoots it, they'll find out, how good it is as far as that goes. Not the best trigger in the world, but definitely pretty good. So the red dot issue, that same stage we had 4 jams. I was hitting the back of the gun, did not touch the dot. Somewhere in the firing sequence, the 508T, it's the titanium holosun, they're supposed to be most durable sight, most durable dot, 508T. The top of the solar panel cracked. I do not know why. I do not know how. There's no way my hand could have cracked that thing. People have dropped it all the time, and it's held up pretty well on drop tests. So I don't understand. I think just somewhere in the cycling action of this gun, the top of the solar panel, maybe that glass in there is too tight, and it just decided maybe through, and that dot probably has 700, 800 rounds through it, something like that. So the dot does not have, it's been on 2 or 3 guns, but it only has 800 rounds through it. The top of the solar panel cracked, so we are getting it replaced. We got a claim put in, and hopefully holosun, they're pretty good, so hopefully holosun will replace that, no problems, no questions asked. But yeah, guys, sorry this video is so long. It's a lot to explain. I am going to give it a second chance. We are going to do a review if we can ever get it to work. I really want to give it a chance. Like, this gun has 250 rounds through it. some guns call for a 500 round break-in before they become 100% reliable. I have modded it, I have ported it, so I've got to give it more of a chance. I can't just say the gun stinks. You know, is it what I wanted it to be? No, but it did work out of the box. Like I said, the recoil spring was way too heavy, and I think that overcame some of the negative issues that they designed this, they engineered into this gun. You know, it kind of made it work, but they should have cleaned up all this mess in here so the spring could actually be slightly lighter and it still functioned. But, you know, I understand the slide is pretty light on this gun. Not super light, but pretty light, and maybe it needed a pretty stiff recoil spring. But this thing had a really heavy recoil spring in it. So we're hoping that, you know, I might take this gun out next time, and if I ran 300 or 400 rounds to it, maybe it'll do 100%. If somebody else borrows it, maybe it'll do 100% for them. But let me know if you're interested in borrowing this thing, because I kind of want to break. I want to shoot something that just shoots and I don't have to worry about for a while. I was real frustrated that the dot messed up and I had 4 jams on that one stage. The good thing is we still finished ahead of like 30 shooters, even with 4 jams on that stage. So I was pretty happy about that I was able to, you know, I think get 50th or 51st on that stage, even with 4 pretty bad jams. And I'll probably show you footage of those jams in this video. We're taking way too long. This is going to be a 25-minute video. But sometimes the negative videos end up lasting a lot longer than the positive ones. So, like I said, we're not giving hope on this gun, and we're still going to give it a chance, and we still may shoot it in IDPA one day, but we want to have a lot of good, positive rounds with no issues through the gun before we take it to IDPA again. I'm not going to do that again until I know it is reliable. But guys, we appreciate, you know, you watching the video. Please like and subscribe. Please leave comments. I know probably a lot of you have cut this video off before you got to this point, but it is a really awesome gun. It shoots good, it looks good, it feels good, has a really nice recoil impulse, especially with the ports. Like I said, it was a little snappy out of the box. That might have broke in a little bit in time and felt a little better, but with the ports it feels really good, and it just, you know, returns to zero very well, and would actually make a very good carry gun if it would be reliable, let's say. But I'm looking forward to getting my dot back. Hopefully they'll take care of the problem. Hopefully I have taken care of some of the reliability issues, maybe all of them. Yeah. Please like and subscribe. Please leave comments below. God bless, and have a great day. All right, guys, I wanted to add this to the video we just made, talking about a video that Garand Thumb made. And I'd mentioned it in the video before this, the clip before this, but there's a good chance that the H9 is just not broke in yet. So we're definitely going to give it a better chance. And the fact that I ported the gun may have made the issue worse, with the fact that it, you know, allowing it to break in, you know, or showed the issues with the break-in period, and make those issues that come from a gun not being broken in worse. So we're definitely going to shoot it some more before we take it to another match, or before we really trust it to carry or whatever. But if I could get through 500 rounds without any issues, I might would carry the gun. But guns that will go through 200, 300 rounds without any failures right out of the box, I kind of start trusting them real quick. But this gun is going to be, you know, makes me a little nervous to carry, and makes me a little nervous to take to a match, because it's just not there yet. But I think we've done some stuff over the last 2 days to kind of improve the problem and fix some of the issues. So we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I really like the gun. I just want to kind of add this on top of that apparently this gun does need a break-in period, and it's only got about 300 rounds through it. So if we can get the next 200 or 300 through the gun with very little to no issues, say less than 1% problems, like 1 or 2 jams in the next 200 or 300 rounds, and then it starts running pretty much 100%, I'll be really happy. That's my hope, and that's my desire, and that's kind of what I hope to see out of this gun. So I just want to throw this in the video and let you guys know. Watch the Garand Thumbs video if you want to know like a long-term test of the H9. It's a new video. So I thought that was pretty cool that he showed that during his first 500,000 rounds, he had some failure to feed issues, and it kind of worked its way out. We've done some polishing on the extractor. The even around the barrel, the lockup areas. We've done some polishing and feed ramp and the chamber. Any kind of hot spots I feel like that causes the gun not to cycle the bullets into the chamber as well as it should, I've kind of cleaned that up. So hopefully I've done some preventative break-ins where, you know, I don't have to actually shoot the gun as much, but I've done what the break-in will do to a certain extent. So maybe mine will break in faster than 1,000 rounds like his, but we're right at 300 rounds. So I'm hoping the next 100 rounds we'll see better results. So God bless. Have a great day. Thanks. Just wanted to throw this in with the video.